Welcome to episode 35 of Shop Talk Live. This is Personalization, a unique convenience story, and we're actually recording this live from the NACS Show here in Chicago. Can't quite see it out my window, but the show is technically right over there. I'm Frank Beard, and really excited about this episode. This is a topic that I think is really timely, and we could not have better guest here to join us. So before I introduce our guest, though, I want to go ahead and set the stage for what we're talking about and share a bit of a personal story that I think will frame this pretty well. So let me share my screen here real quick. But as I said, this is Personalization, a unique convenience success story. And just real quick, since I know we have folks tuning in from all over the world, I want to just introduce myself real quick. My name's Frank Beard. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. I'm a retail analyst, speaker, writer, and marketer who works in marketing and customer experience at Standard AI. Really enjoy visiting exceptional retailers around the world, including the two who are joining us today, and present a lot at industry events and do a lot of media relations about the industry. But what I want to talk about is this. So I got a story to share. Earlier this year, I woke up on a Saturday morning and I was really sort of craving a breakfast sandwich from McDonald's. I hadn't had one in a while. It sounded nice. And I figured I'd just go to the drive-thru and pick it up. Well, I get to the drive-thru. It's 10:25 a.m. There's a bottleneck. And I get to the order screen at about 10:30 plus maybe about 30 seconds. Now, why that's important is, of course, they stopped serving breakfast at 10:30 on Saturdays. I figured, well, it was technically on time, cutting it pretty close, but figured they'd probably sell me a sandwich. No, they wouldn't sell me a sandwich. Didn't really happen. So yeah, that was kind of rough. And I left and I decided to go to Kum Go instead, because I knew even if Kum Go did not have a sandwich ready, which they did, I knew they'd gladly make me one. They're a company that's really big on customer service and they're flexible like that. And it's probably where I should have gone in the first place. But, I think about this a lot because over the past few years, I've encountered this line of thinking that suggests the way for convenience stores to win in food service is to become more like the quick service restaurants. And the more I really think about that, I can't agree with that. I feel like the quick service restaurants, to be quite honest, have been disappointing customers for decades. I share this photo here because there's a Burger King in my town that has not replaced its lights that have gone out for over 5 years. It said Burge, and my wife and I used to joke that it was a fancy pop-up restaurant that showed up at night, and we were never well dressed enough to get inside. It was, of course, a joke, but Burge has since gone. It is now BRK, then it was B the other day, and then it didn't say anything recently. I don't know what it is right now. But, when I think of convenience stores, I think maybe there's a better alternative. And a few years ago during a previous job, I bit off maybe more than I could chew for a road trip, and we couldn't make the drive. We had to get a hotel. And I looked at my colleague, my eyes went big because I saw the Sheets around the corner. And I thought, wow, okay, that's where we're going to get breakfast in the morning. And I was so excited about this. Of course, he looks at me and he says, hey, not more gas station food. I'm tired of that. I said, trust me on this one. You're going to want to go here. This is actually a screenshot off Google Maps of the exact store that I went to. And inside, yeah, expectations were exceeded. This is, of course, an old photo from a different Sheets about a month prior to that, but just to show what it looked like back then. I mean, my colleague was like a kid in a candy store. When he got to that touch screen and saw that full range of personalization, he was blown away. Sheets upsold him on nearly everything that day. I think he got cheese sticks on it, left with this gargantuan sandwich, and just could not have been happier. And that's the thing, I keep coming back to this because it's not just Sheets, it's Wawa, it's Buc-ee's, it's Maverick, it's companies like Rutter's who's joining us today, who are blazing a new path, and they're showing that there's a way to create a type of food service that's unique to convenience stores rather than just copying what the quick service restaurants are doing. And they're doing this with a combination of things like made-to-order meals, flexible day parts, touchscreen menus that are part of the offer itself, not just a replacement for something else. Large snack and beverage selection that, of course, is unique to convenience stores. But it doesn't stop there. They're becoming known as great places to work, great places, to see incredible customer service, the kind of place that you're not embarrassed to say you work at. And quite honestly, that's something that quick service restaurants have struggled with for years. No one's embarrassed to work at a store like a Quick Trip. If you can say the same for certain quick service restaurants, it's different. So, really at the end of the day, I think we see other retailers that are going down this path too. I mean, we have retailers like Kum Go that are bringing even different new approaches to this and showing that there is a way for convenience stores to be their own destination food service channel that doesn't have to copy others. Kum Go, I can't think of many convenience stores that sell shoes. I spent entirely too much money on a really awesome pair of Kum Go shoes that should be in the mail in probably about a week from now. So hoping I'd have them here, but next time I'll definitely be wearing them. Or their new food service program, like this photo I took below. It's incredible. I can't wait to go back and try it out again. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So with that said, I know Dan and Craig are going to come back on for a little bit. We're going to talk about the NACS Show before we introduce our guest, Chris Hartman from Rutters and Tracy Ging from Kum Go. But yeah, let's discuss, guys.
Well, great start, Frank. And just before Craig tells us how the NACS show's going, I think you've come up with something really important. It's a sense of giving the industry confidence in what it's doing, Frank. I really like what you're saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, I understand why people say to copy the quick service restaurants. To be fair, it's often a lot of product marketing from companies who work in the quick service restaurant industry, but I get it. For all their problems, they're really good at what they do. There's a reason why those are successful companies, but I think convenience stores have a lot of strengths too. They have a lot of advantages that are inherent to the channel, and maybe the way to win is to be more of yourself.
100%.
But talking about the NACS Show, Craig, what's your takeaway been? Because I think we've all agreed, we were talking before this, even if attendance was slightly lower than normal for the obvious reasons, the quality was higher, the energy was high. This is quite honestly one of the best NACS shows I think I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Frank. We've actually invested quite a bit in the show. We weren't really sure what attendance was going to be like, quality, quantity, but we were pleasantly surprised by the number of, I would say, high quality attendees, decision makers, CIOs. We're in the technology space, so as are you, and I think we've just had a really, really great show. The energy is super high. The best thing about it is this is the first major in-person show in our industry, and I got a little bit emotional because we're such a tight-knit industry, competitors hugging, fist bumping, elbow bumping. I mean, it's all come back, and kudos to the NACS team. They did an amazing job to organize what should probably was a very, very difficult event to plan, but super high quality, and we're really excited about the outcome.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, this was put on exceptionally well. NACS did a fantastic job with this. For a lot of folks at my company, it was their first time being here, so they don't have a frame of reference. And I mean, they're saying, we can't wait to come back. This is incredible. The retailers I talked to, I think there was a lot of new vendors on the show floor this year, and it was really cool. You saw some different things. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about it. And I've heard that from everyone I've talked to. And let's be honest, after staring at people on Zoom for 18 months at this point, it was so nice to see people that you maybe haven't met in person. And it's a good reminder of why we do these things, especially for an industry that's so based around in-person communication. And don't get me wrong, I'm saying that as someone who's worked from home for over 4 years. You got to come to these things.
Yeah. And I agree with you on the expansion of the categories of suppliers, and it's probably a result of COVID, having to our industry having to embrace new ideas like curbside pickup and new innovations that just weren't there a couple of years ago. And it's really exciting to see a lot of new disruptors in the space as well.
Speaking of some new things, I actually grabbed a couple items off the show floor that were particularly interesting if you guys want to take a look. So the funniest thing I've seen here all year, figured for some of our attendees who couldn't make the show, I'd show a couple of things off. This is hilarious. It's a water called Gen Z. Now, it was in the new product section. One of the cool things about the NACS Show, of course, is that new product section. One of my retailer friends I ran into, I saw him there, and he looked at me and goes, yeah, the next big thing's going to come from this section. He loves seeing those new companies that show up there. But this was just funny. Like, how else can you make water interesting, right? So they called it Gen Z, which immediately got my attention. And I got to read this right here. It says, plain water. We want Gen Z to buy it. 1995 to whatever, for people who never owned a flip phone, made by real boomers, flavorless, transparent liquid. And I just thought that was hilarious. It's like kind of plays into the generational stuff here. It's totally memeable on social media. Yeah, that was cool. I saw Bicycle had these cards that they're branding with retailers. These were 7-Eleven branded. And my understanding is they release these collector's editions. They put coupons that are redeemable for the retailer on the inside. And then you have a really cool deck of playing cards that no one else might have. For some of the retailers that are doing cool things with branded products, I thought that was kind of clever. And then finally, clearly I've already consumed the product, but I kept the wrapper. It was so good. This company, Genius Gourmet, was making these keto chips. And normally when I see keto chips, I'm thinking it's going to taste like cardboard or, some kind of protein product. These were exceptionally good. This was a barbecue. I ate the nacho cheese as well. But the thing is, they put so much powder on the chips that, it was just incredible. That tasted way better than it should. Low calorie count, good stuff. But those are a couple of the standout things I saw. Did you see anything cool when you were walking around?
Yeah, I've been focused heavily on the technology section, so it's maybe not as cool as a Gen Z water, but I think really what, again, kind of to my point about the industry transforming, is I've seen a lot of things that we'll have to address as an industry in 3 to 5 years. It's early days in some things like EV charging and some of the innovations that will help accentuate things like food service, food ordering. One of the biggest trends, including my company, has really been promoting this open API concept. So there have been a lot of IT decision makers saying, how do I make sure that my business does not get disrupted over the next 3 to 5 years with all these threats and opportunities to expand the business line. So there's been a lot of focus on open standards, open APIs. And whilst that's not as sexy as your Gen Z water, it's really important to be able to execute things like what some of the topics we'll be talking about later.
Oh, absolutely. One of the topics I heard, of course, come up a lot was the labor shortage. I think that's on everybody's minds right now. We're kind of in a unique space since we're a checkout automation company. And so that, of course, came out a lot and opened up a lot of good discussions, it's checkout automation is not about replacing people. It's about unlocking their potential and putting that human element back into retail because they're not stuck behind a register. What else can they do? So that's, kind of what we were talking about. But, I think from the labor shortage to what you were discussing, there's a lot of issues that were kind of hot button topics. EVs came up a lot too. That was one of the bigger conversations I encountered.
Frank, the only thing I'd add is just going back to your point about personalization, and obviously, Craig, you're very much on this topic in terms of the conversations you have with retailers. But when I first came across to the US and I went into a Sheetz or a Rutters, I felt like you said, Frank, like a kid in a candy store in terms of the options and flexibility that I had to the power that it gave me as a consumer, if you like, to choose something that was unique to me. And I've always been excited about that. And it's just interesting to see, obviously, I really like the sort of the self-confidence of saying, actually, this is better. This is better. And this is something that the global industry needs to also look at and adopt, because it's this personalization is not just a US phenomenon, is it?
No, and it's a great experience when you have it the first time. I think a point that gets missed is you see some quick service restaurants doing kiosks right now. And it's not really about the kiosk necessarily. It's about what you can do with it. My experience in a lot of the QSRs that are embracing kiosks is they're just replacing a person who might have been standing there and having the order transact through that, but you're still not always getting the full range of customization. But what a lot of the convenience stores are doing, I'll just use Buc-ee's as an example, just to throw another one out there. When you go to their touchscreen, you have the pre-made options or the maybe the recipes that they've decided people might like. But you also have the option in many cases to build your own or really customize something that they've put together. So you can say, what ingredients do you want double of? What ingredients do you want none of? If you have a picky kid, they might not want something green on there. I like fish. I don't like pico. So I can say none, but I can maybe say extra cilantro sauce or extra whatever. And I like that level of personalization because one, I know that order ticket's going to go back there and they're just going to make what I asked for. I don't have to interact with anyone. I don't have to ask. I don't have to hope they didn't forget. It's just incredibly convenient. And I know you can technically customize QSR food sometimes by just asking for it, but that's kind of like a hidden secret or an open secret. It's not part of the actual experience. And I think that's what convenience stores are doing differently.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, with that said, I think the best part about this episode is the guests that we've invited. So with that said, I'm going to bring on Chris. So Chris is with Rutter's. He's our director of fuels, forecourt, advertising, and construction, Chris Hartman. And Rutter's was one of the early companies to really lean into this trend. So I think it's cool that we have a company who was early to the game, and then we have a company like Kum Go who's showing a new and a different way that it can be done. So we're really bringing in different perspectives here. But Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you if you want to talk about this.
Great. I appreciate it, Frank, and glad to be here today to talk about food, which is something that we're really passionate about here at Rutter's. And so, for us, we really think about food and having a food forward strategy. And on the next slide, you'll see that we began as a food company. Rutter Brothers Dairy was founded in 1921. And really what happened is it ingrained food into our DNA. And the important part about that is it really helped us understand some key elements of food service. And I'm going to talk about some of those today. So when you think about food service, you really think about fresh, and you think about being able to see what you're ordering and see it being made. And for us, we really look at it as something that customers want and in fact really demand to see, because it's their way of knowing that it's made for them. They want to know that the food is being made for them. And fresh doesn't always mean that it's made from scratch, but it's made to your order, what you want, and it's unique to what you're trying to do. And so really, I think presentation is also extremely important. When customers see what you're making, they perceive it as a higher quality product. They really think that, this is something that I could, get at a sit-down restaurant because you are really giving them that visualization that everything is fresh, everything is personalized, and it's what they want. It doesn't mean that you don't have a hot hold or some quick grab and go items. It means you have the versatility to offer both of those. The other important thing is food safety. Customers really want to see food safety, especially now that we're in a pandemic era, hopefully a post-pandemic era coming here. And COVID really put an emphasis on cleanliness of stores, and the ability of convenience stores to show that cleanliness, to show that food safety, really is something that can be a separator for us as an industry versus other industries serving food such as QSRs and other types of restaurants that are out there. And so if you're showing that your store is clean, your bathrooms even are clean, that's where customers really start to make their decisions about, okay, this is a place I could eat, or this isn't a place I could eat. And I'm one of those people that I push back on anyone that says, hey, why are you eating at a gas station? Because I don't view us as a gas station. We're a convenience store and we sell fuel. And it doesn't mean that fuel isn't important, but we're a convenience store that is here to provide a lot of different items in a lot of different areas, including made to order food service. And so during this pandemic, obviously, many of us had to adapt, innovate, and really find out what are we going to be when we come out of this. And, COVID was a huge test, but I think as an industry, we really succeeded in showing that we are one of the first places that customers will choose to go to feel safe and to try new things. And so things such as spiked slushies and other alcohol products were really big innovations that we found customers need. And when you're in a stressed state, things like alcohol are something that customers turn to. And so we really leaned into that. We offer, up to 12 different types of spiked slushies at our stores that have alcohol. And, customers really enjoyed them. I mean, they can get them in a party bag, what you see here, or in the 20-ounce cup, and they can take it to go, and they could take it outside and really spend time with their friends in a safe environment outside during the pandemic. And so that's one of the innovations that we had. We also had extreme shakes. We partnered with Hershey's, and we've come up with a number of different flavors of extreme shakes. Here's just one example of their Kit Kat fruity cereal that we put it into the shake, and customers have really enjoyed these because they're looking for indulgence. They're looking for something different, and their ability to go on the touch screen, order the candy that they want, order the flavor shake that they want, and customize it to themselves is what they're looking for. And in this age of social media, people love to be able to say that this is what I order and this is what I do. And so that personalization really feels great to the customer. And it's something that, again, we believe that's why they seek us out, and what separates us from a QSR that has, 15, 20, 30 menu options. We have, over 70 billion combinations that you can order on our touchscreens. And that includes things like the next item. We came out with Spam as a limited time offer. Customers were looking for products that they knew, that they knew what quality they were getting, they knew what the item was. And so we leaned into that, and we said, why don't we try Spam? Let's put this on breakfast sandwiches, burgers, anything else that people would want Spam on. And it was really successful because it's, again, a brand that people knew and still know and love. And so they said, I feel comfortable trying this new innovation because I know what's on it. And then obviously messaging is extremely important. And you'll see here, I really think that food made for you resonates with our customer base, with the person that's trying to figure out where they want to eat dinner or lunch or breakfast. Food made for you, come in, order what you want. Doesn't mean you have to, but if you want to, we're here for you. And so it also, having the grab and go combined with having food made to order really gives us the ability to get those time-starved people in and out of the store quickly, feed them, get them a drink, whatever they need, but also give the people that maybe aren't as time-starved a chance to order what they want and how they want it. And so you see here, we obviously advertise our menu, and you can see the visibility a customer has into our kitchen area. And so, these are really big messaging things for us. Handcrafted beverages. How are they viewing what we're doing? And so we're going to keep advertising inside the store, outside the store, in ways to grab their attention and really let them know the offerings that we have for them. So really, I think some food service questions that you can consider and that we always consider is, do we know our customers' needs, and do we understand them? Do we have good food safety and a good image that goes with food safety? And as the person who's kind of in charge of protecting the brand, that's something that I really work, closely with our ops team to make sure that, we have that good food safety image. Are we utilizing technology to reach customers? We do this all the time. We're always looking for an edge in technology. And so we're going to keep, pushing to get better and, better messaging out to the customers. And we do it at the pumps with, our optic screens. We do it in the windows. We do it inside the store. We always are trying to push the message, but keeping it simple so that it's easy to understand and easy for the customer to grasp what's going on. And then, how do you cultivate innovation? Cultivating innovation is key. And, it's really trial and error sometimes, but it also goes back to the first thing. Do you understand your customers' needs and being able to adapt to those if you're in a pandemic or out of a pandemic, if you're, in certain areas where they like certain food items versus other areas. So those are the things that really need to be understood. And then, that's how you build a successful food service program.
That is fascinating. I've got to try that Spam sandwich at some point, especially it looks like it's on a waffle. Is that what I'm seeing there?
Yeah, that is on a waffle.
Actually sounds really good. You actually make a really good point too, about you go into QSR and you have maybe 30 menu options, but you said you have 70 billion menu combinations given the size of your menu.
Correct. Yep.
That's incredible.
It's something that we think separates our industry from others. Again, we can combine that quick food service offering in a hot hold or in a cooler, while offering personalization that customers are really striving to find when they have the time to do so.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. So I've got a ton of questions. I'm going to save those for our discussion at the end. But I want to remind everyone, if at any point you have questions for any of our panelists, feel free to type those in the chat. We're going to have a panel discussion afterward, and I'll certainly incorporate those in. But with that said, thanks for sharing, Chris. And I'm going to turn it over to Tracy to talk a little bit about Kum and Go before I unload a few questions on everybody. So Tracy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thanks. Happy to be here. Yeah, so we just launched, literally fresh off the press, and I say that in a couple of ways. One, we launched our new food program in Des Moines in 3 stores, but we just opened up Little Rock, and Omaha's halfway done. The stores are getting remodeled as we go. But when I talk about fresh off the press, one of the centerpieces is we're doing fresh baked bread in-house. So we're bringing dough in, we're literally prepping it in the store, and then we're pressing it right in front of the customer. So it's a different take on made to order. There's a lot of customization opportunities, but you'll see we've curated the menu in a way that there's some different ingredients, things that you wouldn't normally expect. We've deviated a little bit from kind of some of the traditional cheese, egg, sausage patty, and we've played with ingredients a lot. So we've got pulled pork and mango salsa and crunched up Takis on some of our sandwiches and bowls. And I don't think I knew how much I needed crunched up Takis in my life before we started playing around with this menu.
But I've tried that same one. It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, we figure, we have this whole center store to play with. So, and it adds, it's just a little bit of crunch, a little bit of fun, a little bit of flavor. We, same thing, a Nashville hot, stacker sandwich with flaming hot Cheetos. So, so you can see the color and the fun, and there's Funyuns on the brisket sandwich, and we've upgraded the proteins, and that bread's made in-house. So it's a pretty ambitious endeavor. So, like the examples that you've talked about, Sheets and Rutters, this is definitely a direction that convenience is going into. And, I think for us, regardless of what we see other convenience stores doing, this is what our customers are telling us. We have a big chunk of customers that just don't even think about us for food. They literally, there's such sort of gas station baggage that they're just we're not even in the consideration set. And it's amazing how many customers we've surveyed where they don't even know we offer food. And then there's another large set of customers that know that we offer food, but are giving us direct feedback that, hey, I'm trying to eat healthier. I want something better. I have to eat on the go, but I don't know how long that stuff has been sitting in the warmer case. I'm just trying to be healthy overall. So we wanted to go as far as we could with fresh, with some different types of ingredients. The grain bowls have a cabbage blend in them and, some different vegetables. You're going to see color from the vegetables, but they're still hearty and there's still a lot of savory flavors in them. So I think customers will feel full. And, so in addition to what sort of our customers are telling us, we're going after a new segment too. I mean, we're definitely deliberate about going after QSR. We're deliberate about going after grocery. I think with one thing the pandemic has taught us is that we can really grab a lot of shoppers that don't want to, mess with the parking lots and the big stores. And we can offer a lot more. And so, I'd say the other thing is, when we talk about maybe QSR specifically, I think it's really clear to us how people feel about fast food. I mean, everybody wants a burger every now and then for sure. But when it's kind of an everyday thing, or when it's an often thing, when you kind of have no other choice but to just grab what's there, most people tell us that they feel bad. They go through it's like messy, it's heavy. They're eating in their car. It's getting on things and they just feel bad about themselves. And one of our sort of insights that we've been working off is that we don't want anybody to leave us feeling bad. I mean, we're a fun brand. So we want you to come in. We want you to feel very good about what you're doing. And along with that, there's just all kinds of behaviors that are shifting. And we see a lot of people snacking a lot more. And so meals have become a very fluid concept. And that stacker sandwich was designed very specifically for, hey, grab one if you want a snack, grab two if you want lunch, grab a pack if you have a group to serve. And so all of that stuff is kind of what makes us feel like we've got some natural advantages over QSR. You brought up the just 10:30 sharp breakfast sandwich close. I think, we extended our breakfast pizza offering because it's, we just don't want to be that rigid, and we don't have to be. We have just real kitchens with real people that, our food associates are amazing at how they know the customers, and they're just happy to make anything you want. And so we do have an associate base that's really advantageous to what we're trying to do. And, when we think about QSR too, we really are leveraging that center store, particularly around beverages, the idea that you can get energy drinks and emerging beverages. And we go really far in innovation on the other side of our store too. So, you'll see us, we'll always pick up the new products. We'll always sort of give sort of new things, new innovations a shot. Some of them, we have birch water in the stores right now. Kombucha, just so, if you're looking for something different, versus what typical QSR offers, which is a very limited set of beverages, you're going to find it. And, I think Dan made a comment about just, putting the choice in the customer's hands. And that's just a big driving theme for us. We think the amount of competition, the amount of choice, how technology is aiding choice for the customer, the power and choice really is in their hands. And so we feel like we have to give customers choice, and we have to be nimble, and we've got to adapt our systems to handle that kind of variety, that kind of customization. And I would say one thing just kind of organizationally on that is, that is a shift. We talk a lot about being a two-speed organization, as there's sort of the business as usual that we run and we maintain. But if you're going to go into this personalization, this kind of variety, this kind of choice, this kind of innovation, I mean, you have to have part of your organization running at a different speed. You have to be able to change some of the paradigms of, we launched a ramen bar. I don't know if you saw that in the store, but we've got an entire noodle set by the fountain area. So it's by the hot water towers and the microwaves. And so, you can also get noodles. And we, the condiment set, we took out the roller grills, which is a very bold move. But the condiment set that was previously used for the hot dogs, it now has toppings for the ramen. So there's some green onions that are cross-utilized from the kitchen, and we can see a time where, yeah, here's a pack of, roasted chicken, cilantro, and pickled onions for your ramen. But it's not; those aren't high price point items, and we're obviously very conscious about dollars per square foot. But we had to say, hey, there's some things we're going to do as an organization that just drives interest and drive some new customers in. And so you have to, be very conscious and deliberate about, hey, there's a segment of our store that's going to, serve a different purpose. And so we've had to just get a lot faster, a lot more, willing to test and learn, a lot more willing to try things, to just sort of not just sort of offer a made to order menu, but extend that philosophy and this new food ethos across the store.
Absolutely. And, you're also doing this at the same time that you're going through a bit of a brand refresh too. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. So we're bringing all that whole perspective. I mean, we're talking about a fresh perspective, and that's a view not just on food, it's on convenience in general. So it's very much about modernizing the convenience experience. So I think others mentioned this, but we too just really emphasize cleanliness, and some of that's not just in sort of the hygiene of the store, but it's also taking down some visual noise. So you'll see us change our merchandising standards. I mean, we just think all the signs and the danglers, I mean, that's part of what's like not making an experience that feels clean and welcoming. So, we're going to strip some of that out. Like I said, we're really pushing the assortment up too. We've got power snacks. We've got a charcuterie section. We've got this ramen bar. We've got a lot more going into perishable retail. And then we're just having more fun with some of the items that we're bringing in, and just really focusing on innovation. So that fresh perspective goes across our viewpoint about, what convenience stores can be in somebody's day-to-day life.
And it's so interesting too. And actually, I'll hold out that for 1 second. I'm going to invite everyone else to come back on, and we'll start a bit of a panel discussion. But to extend that comment, it's interesting for me because I've been around Kum and Go my whole life. I grew up in Des Moines. I've seen this brand evolve over the years. I remember the old radio jingles, and this brand refresh is so exciting because along with the food, I feel like, and especially the social media accounts, you got to follow the Twitter account for anyone listening. Definitely check it out. It's worth it. They share some great memes, but you're just creating a brand that feels cool. And that's it stands out. It really stands out in an interesting way. So I think it's fantastic. But, so one thing I'll add here kind of as a question for everyone, Chris, you had kind of alluded to this too, balancing the need between made to order versus grab and go. Obviously with fuel and convenience, there's a core customer that really is in a hurry, point A to point B. They need something quick. Maybe it's an impulse buy. To go in that hot case, grab it and go is really kind of a good option. But at the same time, you want someone who wants to order something that's made to order. So how are you guys finding you strike that balance to appeal to both segments?
Well, the thing about it is they're both our core customer. It just depends on when they're coming to the store and what they're there to do. And what's going on in their lives. And like we said, sometimes they're time starved, sometimes they're not, and if they are, they can get our, really our top items in certain categories in the hot hold or the cold case to go and grab quickly and take out. And so that's how we balance being able to have things to go while also having personalization. Is we recognize what are the top products that people want, and we can make those and make them available, more quickly, versus if you really want to have, guacamole on your cheeseburger, you have an understanding that you're going to probably wait for that. And that's really how, our customer mindset is that if I want something that's custom to me, I'm going to wait a little bit longer. If I'm okay with the typical bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant, then I can go grab that whenever I want, and I can head out and be in and out in a couple minutes. And so that's really how we find striking that balance.
I was going to interject on that because I agree that it's kind of both, but we also our made to orders clocking in really fast. So we've got some ethnography teams in now that we can get an order out in 3 minutes, and particularly as we start to integrate technology. I mean, if you start to use the mobile app and order ahead, I mean, it'll be ready when you arrive. And so we think some of it is about just sort of, taking the customer along with sort of that journey and understanding new options. The perception that a customer has when they walk up to a made to order counter is it's going to take forever, but it actually doesn't, in particular if you're using technology to engage with that order. So we do see, the need to kind of straddle a little bit for the short term, but are really hopeful that we can sort of offer more of that fresh made for everyone that comes in.
Oh, and Tracy, you had mentioned something there about using technology to enable this. And I think that's what's cool about what's happening right now is obviously, companies like Rutter's and others really got into this a long time ago. And now we have even more ways to do it than, maybe had 10, 20 years ago even. Craig, I'm actually kind of curious for your thoughts on this. How do you really see technology sort of enabling additional customization in food service right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of dating myself, but I was actually part of the original Rutter's launch, and that must have been 20 years ago. When at that time it was state of the art, and it's still state of the art technology in terms of made to order, personalizing sandwiches, and obviously, Chris, you and the team have done an amazing job to expand that offering and build the business, and it's a core differentiator for your business. But I think the next level that we're looking at, and one of the reasons we are really trying to build out a platform for open APIs, is the ability to incorporate not just from one party, one monolithic party and technology provider, but allow for other third parties and disruptors to be able to seamlessly integrate solutions in. So it could be order ahead, mobile ordering, these new situational based loyalty programs, which basically identify things like weather patterns, day of the week, shopping velocity. They all come into play to kind of, as Tracy mentioned, you're able to straddle the customer demands. I mean, on a Tuesday, the customer might be a grab and goer. But on a weekend, they might have more time to have more personalized offerings, or they might be bringing their family in. So all of those little patterns need to be stitched together through technology. And if you have a monolithic system that's very rigid, it's very difficult to accommodate. So you usually have to, it's binary. You have to choose one path or the other, and that's not good for the customer.
Absolutely. And, Tracy and Chris, I'm actually really curious for your thought on something. So you're both from regions of the country that are really strong in convenience store food service and are kind of outliers in that respect. I mean, I always tell people, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. It's convenience store central there. Chris being in Pennsylvania, I mean, you have Rutter's, you have Sheetz, you have Wawa, you have all these best in class brands. I'm curious, do you think that what all of you have done in food service has really kind of just raises the perception of the general industry in that area for everybody? Do you find that changes what people think they can get from a convenience store, or maybe kind of removes that gas station stigma that still continues to unfortunately play a role in the industry?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And as I said, we started as a food company, not as a fuel company. And so for us, I think our history allowed us to start selling food and get into made to order food, in a way that customers felt comfortable with, because they had already been shopping our stores for certain items that were food related, and they trusted our food safety procedures because we had a dairy, so we were providing them, milk, and honestly, we were doing it vertically integrated. I mean, from milking the cows all the way through to the milk that they were, drinking, it came right through us. So that ability to harness their trust there into, a food program was something that, I think was really helpful for us, and seems to have been pretty successful for our company. And I think that, in this area, there are a lot of good competitors, and not only has, what we've done individually raised the bar, but I think we've raised the bar on each other, and competition is good. And we have changed, that stigma, and Come and Go is obviously in that as well, of, it being a gas station. It's not just we're not just a gas station, we're a convenience store, we're a restaurant. We have restaurant employees, we have restaurant managers, and really using certain terminology and marketing also can help brand you the right way.
Yeah, I would just, I don't have much to add, but I mean, it is a challenge. I mean, when we went out this new ad campaign, I mean, we struggled a lot with, where to sort of position the message. And at the end of the day, we felt like we needed to talk more about sort of food you wouldn't expect from a gas station than the food itself. And so the fact that we're still spending dollars to kind of say, hey, take another look at gas stations, it's not, it's not what you think, just tells me that we've got a ways to go for sure. But, it needs to happen. And our recent stores all have, I mean, the kitchens are really much more front and center, and in our next gen stores, you're going to see that even more. So it's that commitment's really coming through in our design too. I mean, we're going to walk in and it's going to be, a kitchen. So we still feel like we've got to push the industry and push against the stigma.
So, Chris, you mentioned something about, using the word restaurants, of course, and this made me think of something. I was at a Come and Go a few weeks ago down the street from where I live, and took my laptop there to get some work done. And I was overhearing an interview that was taking place behind me, and I thought it was so interesting that the store manager was interviewing someone who had a background in casual dining restaurants and working in the restaurant space. And that really stuck out with me because, the manager's talking about, hey, I mean, we have full kitchens here. Here's how this works. Here's what we expect. And I'm sure that's a different conversation than maybe was happening 20 or 30 years ago for a lot of people. But so kind of wrap things up here. We had one really good question that came in that I want to ask everybody. I thought this was good. What can your vendors provide to help you achieve your vision of the future? Curious how you both would answer that.
Well, I saw that and I just want to say hi to Steven. I know Steven. I mean, it's really about innovation. I mean, we're not going to out Dorito anybody. And so we've got to work a lot harder to have a menu that's distinct and products that are distinct and something that is just matching this ethos of we're not a gas station and we're, more of a food destination. And so I think the biggest thing is bring us your innovation and bring us your willingness to look at the categories differently.
I agree. Innovation is certainly something that we find is a key to come from our vendors. And those are the ones that we really want to, partner with. They're ones that bring us innovation, that want to work with us, and, just want to be kind of unique in that regard and offer customers something different, but something that fits what our customers are wanting and needing. And so them understanding the wants and needs and us understanding them, we really can put our heads together and come up with some good and great ideas.
Before we wrap up, I'm actually going to ask one more question. We had a really good one just come in. And it says, they asked, where do you get your inspiration outside the C-store industry? And actually, I'm curious for Tracy, Chris, and Craig, who do you see outside of the C-store industry that's doing something really, really intriguing that you pay a lot of attention to?
I really look at, I follow people on Instagram. So all those Gen Zs, what are they talking about? What are they eating? What are they taking? Hashtagging? What are they taking photos of? So, I feel like there's some statistic I can't remember, but I mean, most people will make new purchase decisions based off of a friend or an influencer that they saw. And so I really look a lot at what they're adopting and picking up. And that's a little bit how ramen came about. After Parasite, there was just such a huge, following around Nongshim, and we're like, we have that. Let's bring this all forward. And we'll see. But yeah, noodles are a tribute to the millions of people that do hashtag ramen on Instagram.
I would say for me, I less product based and more, visualization and design. And so I really like looking at, how does light affect the way people see the products in your store? And how does the angle that you have certain things affect the way people see it, or when they see it, or, how they see it? And so I think all of those are really important aspects of presenting yourself in the correct way, putting the products in the right place, and then, getting the customer journey and customer flow through the store to be the best it possibly can be, and give that customer what they need when they need it.
Yeah, and Frank, being a half Japanese living in Hawaii, Tracy, you had me at ramen. Chris, you had me at spam. So, I think one of the things that I'm involved heavily in NACS and their international, their global reach. And one of the things that I draw inspiration, I know the other retailers do, is just the global varieties of offerings. So from Japanese packaging to the great food service offerings in Europe, just drawing inspiration all around the globe, and Kum and Go and Rutters are inspirational. I know there's been a number of tours at both of your outlets to draw inspiration, and we're all one global community that we can learn from, and I'm excited to be part of it.
And, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. I want to thank you all for joining. Tracy, Chris, Craig, it's a pleasure to have you on here. I think this was a fantastic group to talk about this particular subject. Could not have been better organized. And with that, I want to really thank Dan and Global Convenience Store Focus. I've been a big fan of Shop Talk Live. I typically sometimes can't make the live recordings, but I listen to all of them on YouTube, and I think it's a fantastic program. So with that said, I want to thank everyone else for tuning in and giving us some time on your Friday, and we hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.